The sound of her laughter cut through the music like a blade. Effortless. Familiar. It wasn't just laughter. It was the kind that made people turn their heads, that effortless charm that drew them in. But tonight it didn't pull me closer. Pushed me somewhere cold and airless. I stood at the edge of the ballroom, my champagne untouched, watching my wife lean against the marble bar beside my boss. Her hand brushed his sleeve. Once. Then again. A soft, fluttering motion that seemed innocent if you didn't know her the way I did. I knew that touch. I'd felt it trace my jaw when she wanted something, slide across my chest when she was pretending to listen. Now it belonged to him. "Camille," someone said behind me, the HR director maybe. "You look pale. Are you all right?" I nodded, forcing a polite smile that probably looked like a grimace. "Just tired. Long week." I didn't say long year. I didn't say long marriage. Because this her wasn't new. It was just the first time the world could see it. The company's anniversary gala shimmered with gold light and ego. Everyone dressed to impress, to network, to climb. My boss, Richard Halloran, was in his element. Sleek, charming, predatory. He was the kind of man who made people feel lucky to orbit him. I'd spent 5 years under his leadership, learning that power didn't have to shout. It smiled. And my wife Elise had always loved power. When she'd insisted on coming tonight, she said it was to support me, to finally see the world I worked so hard in. But the moment we walked through the doors, I realized it wasn't my world she wanted to see. It was his. Their laughter grew louder. My fingers tightened around the stem of my glass until I felt the tremor in my wrist. Elise tossed her hair back, that golden fall of curls catching the light, and said something that made Richard's eyes crease with amusement. Then he leaned in, close enough that I saw her lips part slightly, instinctively. It was 5 seconds of silence inside me. Then the roar came back. Music, voices, clinking glasses, but I couldn't unsee it. I'd been through worse betrayals in life, but this felt like 1,000 invisible cuts. Because Elise wasn't just my wife. She was the one who'd once pulled me out of myself, who'd believed in me when I was just an assistant scraping through night shifts. We'd been 2 dreamers surviving on cheap takeout and shared ambition. But something had shifted. Maybe when I started earning more. Maybe when she realized I wasn't as powerful as she thought I'd become. "Camille!" Her voice broke through my spiral. She was smiling at me, radiant, pretending everything was fine. "Come meet your boss properly. You never bring him up at home." I forced my feet to move, my throat dry. "Richard," she said as I reached them. "This is my better half." "Ah," he said smoothly, holding out his hand. "The mysterious wife I've heard too little about." "Funny," I said, shaking his hand. "I've heard plenty about you tonight." Elisa's elbow nudged me, a subtle warning masked as affection. "Cam, don't start," she whispered, her smile fixed. "Start what?" I asked, voice calm but taut. "A conversation." Richard chuckled, sipping his whiskey. "It's good to have spirited partners, Camille. Keeps life interesting." The way he said partners, drawn out, knowing, made my stomach twist. "Excuse me," I muttered, stepping away before my expression betrayed me. I moved toward the terrace doors, the night air calling like a lifeline. Outside, the cold hit me instantly. I leaned against the railing, closing my eyes. The city stretched below, glittering with indifference. I didn't cry. I just breathed, low, even. Behind me the door creaked open. "Running off already." Elisa's voice was soft, playful. Too soft, too playful. I turned to her. She looked stunning. Black silk dress, diamond drop earrings, that practiced poise. But up close I saw it. The tiny smirk she didn't mean to let slip. "You were enjoying yourself," I said. "Is that a problem?" "You were flirting with my boss." She laughed lightly. "Flirting? Camille, it was a joke. I was just being friendly." "Friendly doesn't involve touching his arm every 10 seconds. Her eyes narrowed. "You're imagining things again." Again. The word stung. Because it wasn't the first time she'd accused me of that. Of reading too much into things. The perfume on her blouse. The late-night texts she said were from coworkers. The weekend she suddenly needed to recharge alone. Elise, I said quietly, if you want something different, just say it. Her lips curved into something fragile but cruel. Different? You mean someone different? The air between us thickened. Then she stepped closer, lowering her voice. Richard likes you, Camille. He told me you're one of the best analysts on the team. But you'll never move up if you keep acting like this. Paranoid, insecure, cold. It wasn't about me anymore. It was about leverage. She was using him to control me. Stop pretending this is about my career, I said. You like the attention. So what if I do? Her tone was sharp now, defensive. It's not like you've been paying much attention lately. Froze. Do you even remember the last time we had dinner together without checking your emails? She added. Or the last time you looked at me like you used to? Her words hit harder than I wanted them to. Because there was truth buried in them, tangled in resentment and exhaustion. I turned away, the city blurring below us. You're right, I said quietly. Maybe I stopped looking because I was scared of what I'd see. Her expression flickered, surprise, then guilt, then anger again. You always twist things, Camille. Always. Before I could respond, the door opened again. Richard stepped out, holding his drink. Ah, there you two are. The stars of the evening. Elise straightened instantly, her tension vanishing like smoke. Just getting some air, she said lightly. Richard's gaze shifted between us, curious, amused. Well, don't stay out too long. The CEO's about to make a toast. He turned to me. Camille, I might mention your project. Keep an ear out. I managed a nod, but his smirk lingered too long before he went back inside. Lee sighed. Can we drop this? Please. It's a party. Her hand brushed mine, tentative now. Let's just go back in and pretend everything's fine. For one night. Pretend. That word had become our whole marriage. I nodded because I didn't trust myself to speak. We walked back into the golden light, side by side but miles apart. The band was playing something upbeat. People were laughing, clinking glasses. Richard stood near the stage, talking to the CEO. Elise moved toward the dance floor, but I stayed back, needing a moment to breathe. Then something strange happened. Richard lifted his glass for the toast. The crowd quieted. His expression was composed, confident, until it wasn't. Halfway through his speech, his face paled. He blinked, swayed slightly. Someone laughed nervously. Then he dropped the glass, shattering it against the floor. A murmur rippled through the room. Elise gasped beside me. Oh my God, Richard. He clutched his chest, staggering backward. Then he collapsed. People rushed forward, security, a medic, the CEO shouting for help. But I stood frozen, heart pounding in my throat. And as they lifted him from the floor, I noticed something. Elise's glass, still on the bar where she'd left it, identical to his. Both half empty. And both with the faintest trace of pink lipstick on the rim. The room spun. 5 minutes ago everyone was laughing. Now not a single sound. The sirens came first. Then the whispers. Then the silence. People had scattered into corners of the ballroom, murmuring in clusters, clinging to half-truths and panic. Paramedics knelt where Richard Halloran had fallen. His hand hung limp. His face ghostly white under the strobe of emergency lights. Elise stood beside me, trembling or pretending to. Her hand clutched her clutch bag so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Her eyes darted from the medics to me, as if searching for what expression she should wear. He's not breathing, someone muttered. I felt my chest tighten, not out of grief, but from something colder, an awareness settling into my bones like frost. Because I knew what I had seen. 2 glasses, same drink, same lipstick mark. Elise, I said quietly, my voice barely audible over the chaos. What did you drink? She blinked, startled. What? Why are you asking me that? I saw your glass. It was next to his. Her throat bobbed. So what? We were both having the same champagne. Were you? My voice sharpened. Because his was yours. She turned toward me, her expression twisting. Camille, are you seriously? But then she stopped, because she saw it in my face. The suspicion, the doubt, the realization that something had gone terribly wrong. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Did you do something? Her lips parted but no sound came out. The medics called something out, an urgent technical phrase, and I heard the unmistakable word, overdose. The air left my lungs. I stared at Elise. What did you do? Her eyes went wide. No, I didn't. Camille, don't look at me like that. I didn't touch his drink. You were with him all night. So were 50 other people, she snapped, her voice trembling. You think I'd hurt him? God, Camille, what are you saying? I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't even know what I believed. But the picture forming in my mind felt like a nightmare drawn in slow motion. Elise laughing, flirting, whispering close, her lipstick on his glass, the way he'd suddenly turned pale. My boss, the man who had power over my career, my future, was lying unconscious while my wife stood shaking beside me. And the look in her eyes wasn't fear. It was calculation. When the paramedics wheeled him out, Elise's hand brushed mine. We should go, she whispered. We shouldn't be here. I'm not leaving, I said. They'll have questions. Camille, please. You'll make it worse. For who? Asked. You or me? Her face hardened. You think you're the victim here? I didn't answer. Because for the first time I wasn't sure who was. 2 days later, the office was a mausoleum. Richard was still in the hospital, in critical condition. The doctors said it looked like he'd been poisoned. Something slipped into his drink. They didn't know when. Or who. HR called everyone in for questioning. I sat across from 2 investigators, hands folded in my lap, pretending to be calm. My mind, however, was a storm. Mrs. Delaney, one of them said, we understand your wife was present at the gala. Yes, I said carefully. She was. Did you notice anything unusual about Mr. Halloran before the incident? I thought of his smirk. His hand brushing Elisa's shoulder. Her lipstick on his glass. No, I lied. He seemed fine. They exchanged a look but didn't press. When I got home, Elise was sitting on the couch, staring at the muted news. Richard's photo flashed on the screen. Hospital bed, oxygen mask. Headlines screaming corporate scandal at Gala. They're saying he might not wake up, she murmured. Why does that sound like you're relieved? I asked quietly. She turned to me, eyes flashing. Because he's your boss, Camille. And if he dies, they'll start tearing the company apart looking for someone to blame. Maybe you. Her words landed like a warning. I stared at her. What are you not telling me? She looked away, chewing her lip. Nothing. Elise. Her jaw tightened. Then finally she whispered. He made a pass at me. Froze. What? At the bar, she said, voice trembling. When you went to talk to HR, he leaned in and said he could make your promotion happen faster if I was grateful. I laughed it off, but he didn't stop. Her eyes glistened. I flirted back to shut him down, to make it a joke. You think I liked it? I was trying to protect you. I wanted to believe her. God, I did. But the words felt rehearsed, perfectly balanced between guilt and righteousness. She'd always been good with words. Why didn't you tell me that night? Asked. Because you already thought I was cheating, she said, voice rising. You wanted me to be the villain. No, I whispered. You made yourself one. Her eyes went cold. You really think I'd poison a man? For you? The question hung in the air, vicious, daring me to answer. I didn't. That night I couldn't sleep. Kept seeing the glasses, the lipstick, collapse. The way Elise had reached for me after, not out of love but self-preservation. I went to the kitchen for water, and that's when I saw it. The small amber vial half hidden behind the sink, the kind used for liquid vitamins. Except this one was labeled in fine print, lorazepam solution, concentrated. It wasn't mine. And Elise didn't take medication. I stared at it for a long time, my pulse hammering in my ears. Then I picked it up and set it on the counter. It trembled slightly in my shaking hand. Behind me the hallway light flicked on. Elise stood there, her robe tied loosely around her waist. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Where did this come from?" Her eyes went to the vial. Then she smiled, just slightly. "It's not what you think." "Then tell me what it is." She stepped closer, slow, deliberate. "You wouldn't understand. Try me." Her smile faded. "He deserved it," she whispered. "You don't know what he did." I felt my stomach drop. "Elise." "He's been making women miserable for years," she said, her voice trembling now. "Touching them, promising promotions, ruining anyone who said no. I saw his messages. I saw what he did to that intern last month. You think the company would ever punish him?" "Well, so I did." She looked at me then, not like a villain but like someone convinced she'd done the right thing. "I didn't mean for it to go that far. Just to scare him. A few drops, that's all." I couldn't breathe. "You used my glass." Her lips trembled. "He took it by mistake." Silence swallowed the room. I sank into a chair, my mind unraveling. "Do you have any idea what this means? If they find out?" "They won't," she said quickly. "You won't tell them." I looked at her. "You think I'd protect you?" She knelt beside me, her voice low, desperate. "Camille, please. You're all I have left." I wanted to hate her. But underneath the rage was something worse. Love. The kind that refuses to die, even when it should. Her hand found mine. It was warm, trembling. "Human. Please," she whispered. "We can get through this. No one has to know." And for a terrible, fleeting second I considered it. The part of me that remembered who we used to be, the late-night laughter, the quiet mornings, wanted to believe this was just another storm we could survive. But then I thought of Richard's face as he fell. The interns whose names I'd heard whispered. The line between justice and revenge, blurred by her hand. "Elise," I said quietly, pulling my hand away. "You didn't save me. You ruined us." Her breath caught. "What are you going to do?" I stood, staring at the vial. What I should have done years ago, stop pretending. By morning the police were at our door. I didn't have to say much. Just enough. Elise didn't fight. She just looked at me once, that same hollow calm she'd worn the night I met her. Beautiful, composed, already fading. As they led her away, she turned her head slightly and said, "He would have destroyed you, Camille. I only beat him to it." I didn't answer. 'Cause maybe, in a way, she was right. He had been destroying me, just differently. Slowly. Through silence and fear and compromise. But so had she. Later, I sat alone on the terrace, watching the sunrise spill across the city. The world went on, indifferent. The phone buzzed with messages from the office. Crisis meetings, damage control, whispers of my promotion being suspended. None of it mattered. All I could think about was how easily love can twist itself into something unrecognizable. Something that wears the face of devotion while hollowing you from the inside out. Elise once said she flirted to make me look powerful. In the end, she made sure I was powerful enough to stand alone. And that, somehow, was the cruelest betrayal of all.